Cassy was back up on the stand after lunch break, and they're saying she's likely going to be testifying for the rest of this week. They did just take a 5-minute break, so I am going to recap everything else she said since then. In this portion of her testimony, Cassy talked about control over her career and finances, control over the appearance of her body, emotional, physical, psychological abuse, taking her belongings, staff involvement, weapons, and intimidation. She not only talks about her first freak-off, but she also mentions freak-off details. She talks about substance use and recovery, emotional impact, and blackmail fears. Her testimony was also supported by emails and photographs. When it comes to her career, she says that her manager at Bad Boy Records, James Cruz, told her that he was managing her with one arm tied behind his back because everything had to be approved by Diddy. When it came to her stunning beauty, she said that Diddy criticized her looks frequently. He even said that he once told her she looked too Mexican when she wore a certain hairstyle. When it came to her looks, he had preferences. He wanted her to have white or French tip nails. He wanted her to wear certain hairstyles, and he wanted her to keep her body ready for freak-offs. Cassy said that they had discussed breast implants, and she was told to tan, wax, wear netted outfits, and extremely high heels. She said her self-confidence was obviously impacted and said her self-worth took a hit for the entirety of their relationship. When it came to the abuse, I detailed some of it in the last video, but she added that his moods would change unpredictably. She said when he would get violent, his eyes would be going black. If Diddy ever disapproved of her, he or his staff would be taking her belongings. That included phones, laptops, cars, apartment access, and jewelry. The items were only returned to her whenever the punishment was over. During her testimony, she named staff members who facilitated or enforced her control. She said it was Christina Coram, who Diddy called KK, Tony Fletcher, Neil Dominique, and David James. As far as the security, she named D-Rock, Bonds, Uncle Polly, Fahim, and Malik. She said that the staff helped stock the freak-off rooms with protection, lubricant, baby oil, and sometimes afterwards they would help clean. In terms of weapons, she said that Diddy would keep them in his safes across all of his homes. She said that the safes also had SD cards, cash, jewelry, and videotapes. Once when she was high on mushrooms, Diddy gave her a weapon to carry with her while she was in a club in downtown LA, and she was terrified. Also detailed a time when they were in the middle of a freak-off and Diddy's security, D-Rock, came in to let him know that Suge Knight was nearby. He said Diddy left with staff to confront him, and she cried and begged him not to do anything stupid. Cassy also talked about her very first freak-off and said it was in the first year of their relationship when she was 22. It was held in an LA home, and Diddy had an escort there who was a dancer from Vegas. Cassy said she was high on and drinking, and that Diddy had her wear a masquerade mask and platform shoes. She felt dirty and confused, but admitted that she felt relieved because he seemed happy. She participated because she wanted to please him, avoid angering him, and she was scared of what no could turn into. She then went on to list all the cities that the freak-offs took place in, from New York to Miami, LA, Atlanta, Ibiza, Vegas, Turks and Caicos, and her own homes. Hotel rooms were booked under aliases. If it was hers, it was Jackie Star. If it were his, it were Frank Black or Frank White. She said the sessions were highly choreographed by Diddy, from lighting to positions to wardrobe to scents, including candles. Baby oil was used extensively. She said sometimes 10 bottles a session. In one instance, she said Diddy told her to get into the kiddie pool, which was filled with baby oil. If it were that time of the month, she was expected to participate. She talked about times when Diddy and escorts would urinate on her and in her mouth. She testified that she would choke, and it was disgusting. If they were in the middle of a session and they ran out of supplies, they would call hotel staff or his assistants. Yes, there would be damages from these sessions at the hotels, which would lead to hotel charges. When it came to substances, she said Diddy often provided them, and she would take snow, alcohol, and mushrooms. She also said that the freak-offs would become full-time jobs, that she would have no space for a normal life or a career. Cassy said she didn't want to participate in the freak-offs, and she tried to stop them gently. She cried while describing the humiliation, saying she felt worthless and felt like the only time she could get attention from him was during the freak-offs. She had emailed him with concerns, but then backpedaled out of fear, and in one email she wrote, "I really need to." She said she did that as a way to appease him. He responded saying she was predictable, implying that he knew she didn't want to participate anymore. Like she said earlier, she feared blackmail because a lot of these freak-offs were recorded. She said she turned over laptops and devices with potential material to the feds. When it came to nicknames, she wanted to give him something that nobody called him, and he asked her, "What do you call your grandfather?" She said Pop Pop, and that became his nickname, to which she now realizes was disrespectful. That wraps up the last 2 hours of her testimony. They should be back in the courtroom now, and I will give you the final update after she's done.